Gym is my therapy. 7 days a week I'm in the gym.
Bring it up. There you go. Bring it up, bring it up, bring it up. Squeeze. Good. 14. One more.
That was the craziest workout ever.
They were told women couldn't be this strong. They proved the world wrong. And then they went too far. What began as fitness became obsession, a hunger that devoured their bodies from the inside out. Steroids, shattered bones, ruined faces, and broken lives followed.
For somebody to say that you can never be anything and do something with your life, I just feel like this is the best way that I can show who I am, which is through my athletic ability.
Behind the smiles and trophies were women who couldn't stop growing, even when it was killing them. This is the dark, shocking world of those who became addicted to muscle and paid the ultimate price. Nicole Bass. Nicole Bass began her bodybuilding career in 1985. She was tall, loud, and unapologetically ambitious. What started as fitness quickly turned into obsession. The gym became her world. She trained until her skin burned, her joints ached, and her reflection looked more like a warrior than a woman. By the early 1990s, she was one of the most recognizable female bodybuilders in America. She could bench press 315 pounds and carried more muscle than most men in her gym. People stared when she walked into a room, and she liked that. The attention felt like power. But the power came with a price. Nicole began using anabolic steroids to stay ahead. At first, it was small doses to keep her edge. Then it became a habit. Her jaw widened, her voice deepened, and her features hardened. The changes were permanent, but she didn't care. Every rep made her feel invincible. She chased that feeling until the drugs no longer helped her grow. They just kept her from falling apart. By the late 1990s, Nicole moved into professional wrestling. Her massive frame made her a spectacle in the WWE, but behind the scenes, her body was breaking down. Steroid abuse attacked her organs. Her skin thinned, her bones became fragile, and her heart strained under the constant chemical load. In 2006, she was hospitalized with pancreatitis caused by long-term steroid use. She recovered, but her health never fully returned. In 2017, Nicole Bass died at just 52 years old after suffering a stroke and heart attack. The same body she built to make her unstoppable finally gave out. Her story became a warning in bodybuilding circles. She wanted to be the strongest woman alive, and for a moment, she was. But in the end, her strength turned on her. Nicole Bass didn't lose to anyone in the ring. She lost to her own reflection. Irene Anderson. Irene Anderson was known as the strongest woman in Sweden. Standing 5'7" and weighing 185 pounds of near-pure muscle, she looked like a sculpture carved out of iron. Every vein, every fiber of her body spoke of sacrifice. She wanted to prove that strength could make her untouchable. But her country didn't see it that way. In Sweden, bodybuilding comes with a warning. The police have a system called muscle profiling, where officers can legally search anyone who looks suspiciously strong for illegal steroids. Irene knew the risk, but she pushed forward anyway. She lived for competition, and winning meant more to her than reputation. She trained with brutal precision and cut her body fat so low her skin looked stretched over wire. In every show she entered, her presence dominated the stage. Her fans called her the Iron Queen. Then in 2009, her world cracked. The police pulled her aside, searched her, and found a small quantity of steroids. She admitted they were hers for personal use. The punishment was small, a fine of just 500 kroner, barely $89. But the damage was done. Her name was plastered across Swedish media, and her years of discipline were overshadowed by one word: cheat. Sponsors backed away. Gyms stopped inviting her for seminars. The same country that had once called her the pride of Sweden now treated her like an outlaw. Irene kept training, but the shine of the stage was gone. The sport that gave her identity had turned on her. She wanted to be remembered for her strength, but she became known for her scandal. Irene Anderson proved she could lift more than most men alive, but in the end she couldn't lift the weight of her own reputation. Joanna Thomas, the youngest pro who broke her body to stay perfect. Joanna Thomas was only 21 when she became the youngest professional female bodybuilder in the United Kingdom. She was small, blonde, and impossibly driven. What she lacked in size, she made up for in obsession. Her entire life revolved around the next training session, the next show, the next photograph that proved she was growing. When she moved to the United States, she found herself surrounded by giants, women who had built their bodies beyond human proportion. Joanna promised herself she would match them, no matter what it took. She denied using steroids, but what she put herself through was arguably worse. Her coaches introduced her to a brutal practice called deep tissue muscle tearing massage. The process ripped at her muscle fibers to force them to regrow thicker. It was agony, but she smiled through it, convinced the pain meant progress. Her body grew stronger, and so did her obsession. Between 1997 and 2007, she competed in some of the biggest shows in the world, earning top rankings and global fame. But years of punishment left scars that no camera could see. Her knees began to fail, her joints stiffened, and her once perfect muscles turned against her. In 2019, Joanna was diagnosed with early-onset osteoarthritis, a condition more common in the elderly. By her early 40s, she could barely walk. The woman who once strutted across stages covered in gold oil now needed help to stand. The muscles she built for glory had trapped her inside a body that could no longer move. She tried to stay optimistic, telling friends she would recover and return to competition. But her health continued to decline. In April 2020, Joanna Thomas was found dead in her apartment. She was 43. Her story became one of bodybuilding's most painful reminders, that perfection always demands a price, and sometimes that price is everything you have left to give. Denise Ratkowski. In the early 1990s, Denise Ratkowski was the face of female bodybuilding's golden era. At 5'5" and 155 pounds of sculpted symmetry, she had it all: power, charisma, and a face that could have been on a magazine cover even without the muscle. Between 1988 and 1993, she dominated national competitions, winning 5 major titles in 5 years. Her rise was unstoppable, and in 1993 she stood on the Miss Olympia stage, finishing second. But behind the flawless tan and perfect smile was a darker truth. To stay on top, Denise began using anabolic steroids. Like many in the sport, she told herself it was temporary, just enough to stay competitive. But the results were intoxicating. Her body grew faster, harder, stronger, and she couldn't stop. The drugs didn't just change her muscles, they changed her mind. The woman who once thrived on discipline now lived for the next dose. Her hormones shifted, her face coarsened, and her mood darkened. The high of winning was replaced by paranoia and withdrawal. When she finally walked away from the stage, the side effects caught up. Years later, her life unraveled. In 2013, police arrested her for trespassing, but when her mugshot appeared, the world could hardly believe it was the same person. The woman once worshipped for her beauty now had facial hair, sunken eyes, and the haunted look of someone who had lost everything to chemical abuse. She would be arrested 4 more times before finding her footing again. Today, Denise works as a minister in a Texas homeless shelter. She preaches recovery and redemption, 2 things she fought hard to find. Denise Ratkowski is proof that steroids could make you a champion, but they could also take away everything that made you human. Colette Guimond. Colette Guimond was born in Montreal, Canada, and she looked like she belonged in a world built for strength. She was surrounded by ice, wilderness, and hard work, but her transformation did not begin until she was 26. That was when she first stepped into a gym. Most champions start in their teens, but Colette was a latecomer. She made up for lost time with a fire that scared people. Within 2 years, she won the Female Bodybuilding Championship of Montreal in 1989. Her muscles grew faster than anyone had ever seen. Her arms were thick, her back wide, and her presence unforgettable. Then her drive turned into something darker. She began training until her hands shook. She pushed her body to the limit and started using performance enhancers to chase even faster growth. Her goal was Miss Olympia, the biggest title in the sport, and she believed nothing could stop her. But heavy training and chemical abuse took a toll. Her body started to break down. The dream that once fueled her began to eat away at her health. In 1997, a serious car accident left her with injuries that ended her competitive career. Doctors warned her to stop, but she didn't listen. She became addicted to power, to seeing her reflection grow more unreal with every passing month. When competition was no longer possible, Colette refused to fade away. She turned her extreme physique into a spectacle. She began appearing in the adult entertainment industry, where her size and intensity drew a new kind of audience. Today, she lives in Montreal and still trains daily. She works privately as a fitness consultant and model within niche bodybuilding circles. Isabella Borg. Isabella Borg from Malta wanted to be strong, not fit, not toned, strong. She started training young and built muscle fast. Every new vein, every extra pound of muscle gave her a rush she couldn't live without. Soon it wasn't about fitness anymore. It was about control. She wanted to be the biggest, the toughest, and the most feared woman in the gym. Steroids gave her what she wanted. The results came fast and brutal. Her shoulders grew massive, her voice deepened, and her skin hardened. Friends drifted away. Trainers warned her to slow down. She didn't care. The power was addictive. She liked how people stared, how she could lift what most men couldn't even budge. But with every injection, her body started to break down. She ignored the pain in her chest and the swelling in her joints. She told herself it was part of the process. By her late 40s, Isabella weighed close to 200 kilograms. She looked unstoppable, but inside she was dying. Her liver was failing. Her heart struggled to keep up with the strain. Inflammation spread through her body. The woman who once dominated the stage now spent nights gasping for breath. Her body, once her pride, became her prison. At 48, Isabella Borg's heart gave out. She died alone, far from the lights and applause she once chased. Her death was quiet, almost hidden, like the truth behind her transformation. Those who knew her still struggled to understand how someone so strong could fall so fast. Isabella wanted power more than anything. In the end, it took everything from her. Joanna Thomas. Joanna Thomas was born in Cornwall, England in 1976. She looked soft and shy, a girl who never fit the mold. Then she found the gym, and everything changed. At 14, while most girls were worrying about makeup and friends, Joanna was lifting weights in a small local gym, chasing a feeling she couldn't explain. The mirror became her best friend and her worst enemy. Every new line of muscle made her feel powerful. Every flaw made her push harder. By 21, Joanna had earned her IFBB Pro card, becoming the youngest British woman to do it. She was called Buff Barbie, but the nickname was cruel. She wasn't a doll. She was built from pain, discipline, and chemicals. Steroids entered her life early, first as a boost, then as a habit. Her body changed fast. Shoulders widened, jaw hardened, voice deepened. The bodybuilding stage became her whole world. Under the bright lights, when she flexed for the judges, she finally felt seen. The applause gave her purpose. But when she walked off stage and went home, the silence hit her hard. Without the lights, the cheers, and the cameras, she felt empty. She started using more steroids to fill that void, telling herself she needed them to stay competitive. The drugs worked fast, but the cost was brutal. Her hormones crashed, her skin changed, and her mood swung between rage and exhaustion. She stopped trusting people. Relationships failed. The only thing that still made sense was the iron. She kept injecting, kept training, even when her health began to collapse. Her muscles grew, but her world got smaller. She trained even when her joints burned and her heart raced. She kept pushing because she didn't know how to stop. Bodybuilding had stopped being a sport. It had become her entire identity. By her late 30s, Joanna's career was over. Her body was wrecked from years of chemical abuse and physical strain. Friends said she was withdrawn and lonely, trapped in a body that no longer felt like hers. In 2020, she was found dead in her apartment in Cornwall at just 43. Terresa Ivanchik. Terresa Ivanchik grew up in Pennsylvania and started lifting weights to escape her insecurities. At first, it was innocent. She wanted to feel stronger and look better. But the mirror quickly became an addiction. Each new vein, each added pound of muscle gave her a high she couldn't find anywhere else. Compliments fed her. The gym became her home. She started competing and quickly made a name for herself. Her body changed faster than anyone expected. She trained through pain and exhaustion because slowing down felt like failure. When her progress stalled, she turned to steroids. It started small, then grew into a routine she couldn't stop. The drugs built her body into a masterpiece of muscle, but they also began tearing her apart. Her skin thickened, her voice deepened, and her emotions became unpredictable. She couldn't sleep, couldn't rest, and couldn't stop chasing the next transformation. Teresa's obsession became public. She posted her growth online, showing her body as both armor and proof of her worth. Fans called her an icon of discipline, but behind the camera she was breaking down. She admitted later that she had lost herself completely. Her hormones were wrecked. Her relationships fell apart. Her entire life revolved around staying huge. Eventually, the side effects caught up with her. Her health declined, and she was forced to step back from competing. She spoke openly about the damage, admitting the toll steroids and obsession had taken on her body and mind. She tried to rebuild her health, but the scars, physical and emotional, remained. Terresa Ivanchik is still alive today, still training, still carrying the body that nearly destroyed her. She survived her obsession, but she never fully escaped it. The mirror that once built her still stares back, asking for more. Juliet Bergman. Juliet Bergman was born in Vlaardingen, Netherlands in 1958. She grew up in a mixed Dutch and Indonesian family with 4 siblings. Her childhood was marked by tragedy when 2 of her younger brothers died. The loss shattered her family and changed her forever. From that moment, Juliet felt a deep need to be strong, to take control of her life, and to never again feel powerless. That pain became the foundation for everything she would build later. She began training in 1981 to lose weight with her husband, but what started as a routine soon became an obsession. The gym gave her a sense of order. Every rep, every drop of sweat was a way to fight back against chaos. Within a year, she was competing, and in 1982, she won her first title. By 1984, she became Dutch national champion and repeated the win in 1985. That same year, she won the World Amateur Championship and earned her professional status. Her body transformed into a weapon of control and precision, and her willpower became unbreakable. Juliet rose fast. In 1986, she won the Pro World Championship and placed second at Miss International. Then came a long silence. She stepped away from competition, but never from the gym. The hunger to grow never left her. When she returned to the stage in 2001 after more than a decade, she shocked the bodybuilding world. She won the Miss Olympia lightweight class and then defeated the heavyweight champion to claim the overall title. No one had done that before. She repeated her victory in 2002 and 2003 before finally retiring. Even after the trophies stopped, Juliet could not stop training. The discipline that grew from childhood grief became her identity. She lives as proof that strength can come from pain, but it can also trap you inside the need to never feel weak again. Cory Everson. Cory Everson was born in Racine, Wisconsin in 1958. From the beginning, she was built for competition. In high school and college, she was an athlete in everything she touched: track, gymnastics, swimming. She wanted to win, but it wasn't just about medals. It was about control, about never letting anyone see weakness. That mindset followed her into bodybuilding, where she became one of the most powerful women the sport has ever known. Cory began training seriously in the late 1970s. and by the early 1980s, she was unstoppable. Her body was lean, balanced, and perfectly proportioned, and she pushed herself harder than anyone around her. Behind her calm smile was an obsession that never shut off. She was known to train until she bled, to perfect her form until her muscles trembled. The gym became her world. The pain became her peace. In 1984, Cory won her first Miss Olympia title. She was new, but her presence dominated the stage. The crowd couldn't take their eyes off her. Then she did it again and again. 6 times in a row, from 1984 to 1989, Cory Everson stood alone at the top of the bodybuilding world. No woman had done that before her. She became the face of female strength, the balance of beauty and muscle. But the pressure never eased. The public expected her to stay perfect, to stay the image of power that women weren't supposed to have. Behind the success was pain. Years of overtraining and exhaustion left her with chronic injuries and hormonal complications. Her body ached constantly, but she refused to stop. Even when the doctors warned her to slow down, she pushed harder. She said once that she was afraid to stop training because she didn't know who she was without it. When she finally retired in 1989, Cory walked away undefeated but deeply changed. The woman who had inspired millions was left to rebuild a body and mind that had been pushed to their limits. She survived her obsession, but she carries its scars. Anja Langer, strength built from pain. Anja Langer was born in Stuttgart, Germany, in 1965. From a young age, she lived between discipline and chaos. Her father was a sportsman who believed in toughness, and her childhood was filled with expectations. When she started lifting weights at 16, she found something that finally gave her control. Every workout silenced her doubts. Every new muscle made her feel untouchable. The gym became the only place where pain turned into progress. Her rise was fast. By her early 20s, Anja had one of the most balanced physiques in the sport. She trained with precision, refusing shortcuts. She avoided the bulkier, steroid-heavy look that dominated women's bodybuilding at the time, choosing instead to sculpt muscle like art. Her body was strong but still graceful, and it set her apart. She placed second at the 1988 Miss Olympia, the youngest woman to reach that level, and became a global symbol of what female muscle could look like when it was built on dedication instead of chemicals. But behind the perfect symmetry was heartbreak. Just before her greatest success, her father died suddenly. The shock shattered her. The man who had shaped her discipline was gone, and the drive that once fueled her now turned hollow. She continued training through the pain, but it no longer felt the same. Every rep reminded her of what she lost. The gym that had once saved her became a place of grief. Anja left competition soon after. The obsession that had once made her great had taken too much from her: her joy, her peace, and her family life. She turned to writing and coaching, trying to teach balance to others who were heading down the same path. She survived the dark side of bodybuilding, but the scars never left. Rachel McLish, first queen of female muscle. Rachel McLish was born Raquel Livia Elizondo on June 21, 1955 in Harlingen, Texas. She grew up in a world where women were expected to smile, not sweat. As a teenager, she was a cheerleader and athlete, but even then she felt trapped inside her own skin. She wanted to be stronger, harder, louder than what society allowed. That hunger followed her into adulthood. After graduating in physiology and health and nutrition, she opened gyms with a partner and found her calling in iron. In 1980, Rachel entered the first ever Miss Olympia and shocked the world. She didn't just win. She defined a new kind of woman, muscular yet graceful, powerful yet poised. She won again in 1982 and never placed lower than third in the years that followed. Her body was sculpted perfection, but behind the tan and smiles was a woman who could no longer separate her self-worth from her reflection. The stage lights were addictive. Each pose fed the fear of fading away. Every time she trained, she wasn't chasing health. She was fighting the terror of becoming ordinary. But bodybuilding was changing fast. The judges started rewarding extreme size instead of shape or symmetry. The women around her grew bigger every year, and Rachel's classic feminine physique no longer fit the new standard. She tried to keep up, training longer hours and pushing her body past exhaustion, but it began to take a toll. Her joints ached, her hormones became unstable, and her energy was gone. Every morning she woke up sore and drained, but she still forced herself to the gym. The harder she trained, the worse she felt. The mirror that once showed progress now only reminded her of everything she was losing. In 1984, after placing second at Miss Olympia, Rachel walked away. On the outside, she left gracefully. Inside, she was shattered. What do you think about these women? Comment down below.